They told us to pay attention to the noise. The headlines, the scandals, the distractions. But while the world was looking one way, something far more significant was unfolding quietly in the background. America's silent plan, the one no one noticed, until now. For years, policies have been passed not with loud declarations, but with subtle signatures, quiet approvals, and buried paragraphs in long documents no one reads. Behind every public debate, there's a deeper move. One that shapes the future before anyone realizes it's happening. It's not about politics, it's about direction. It's about how a nation of innovation and influence can quietly set the tone for the entire world, not by shouting its plans, but by silently building them. The infrastructure, the technology, the economic shifts, even the reshaping of power. All designed not for today's headlines, but for tomorrow's dominance. While people argued over words, America was investing in systems. Digital, military, financial, systems that don't make noise but define control. Artificial intelligence, data dominance, clean energy transitions, global alliances formed not on camera, but in coded agreements. And now, as the pieces begin to align, the picture is becoming clear. The silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. A quiet revolution, powered not by speeches or slogans, but by precision and patience. The world is waking up to it now. The signs were always there, hidden in plain sight. Every quiet move, every unnoticed law, every partnership that slipped under the radar, it all adds up to something much bigger, because the greatest power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It builds, it prepares, and when the time comes, it changes everything. America's silent plan was never truly invisible. We just weren't listening closely enough. Strategic silence is not the absence of action. It is the highest form of control. In a world addicted to noise, where every movement is broadcast, analyzed, and exaggerated, silence becomes the most powerful strategy of all. America's quiet moves, the ones that never made front page news or trended on social media, have always been its real source of influence. The loud speeches, the televised debates, the controversies, they are distractions. The real transformation has always taken place behind closed doors, in the minds of planners who understand that power is not about visibility, it's about timing. The greatest empires in history have never shouted their plans. They've whispered them into existence. America learned that lesson early. It discovered that the world watches closely, imitates quickly, and reacts violently to any sign of dominance. So instead of revealing its hand, it learned to play the quiet game, to prepare without fanfare, to build technologies before anyone realized what they meant, to fund research projects that seemed unimportant until decades later, when the world suddenly depended on them. Strategic silence became a kind of invisible armor, a way to move without being targeted, to influence without being blamed, to lead without appearing to control. Think about the evolution of technology. When people were fascinated with entertainment gadgets, quietly, the nation was laying down fiber, optic lines, that would one day form the backbone of global communication. While the public obsessed over smartphones and social media, American research labs were designing the frameworks for artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity systems so advanced that even allies could barely comprehend them. None of this was done with dramatic announcements. It happened in quiet laboratories, under unremarkable budgets, with scientists who didn't chase fame. They chased function. They were building the future while everyone else was watching the present. That is the essence of strategic silence. Knowing when not to speak, because when you reveal your plan too early, you invite resistance. You give your competitors time to counter, your rivals time to prepare, and your critics time to destroy what you haven't even finished. The most effective power is built in patience, in layers, in the calm confidence that the outcome will speak for itself when the time is right. America has understood this rhythm. When it appears inactive, it is actually recalibrating. When it appears silent, it is listening, learning, adjusting. Take the realm of defense. The world saw military bases, weapons displays, and televised operations. But what it didn't see were the silent revolutions in cyber defense, unmanned systems, and intelligence networks that could act long before a single soldier moved. While nations built armies, America built algorithms. While others measured power in missiles, it measured power in data. And data, unlike troops or tanks, moves silently through invisible networks. It doesn't shout. It listens, records, predicts, and waits. That quiet dominance in the digital world became the new form of control. Wars are no longer won by who fires first, but by who knows first. Even in diplomacy, the same quiet mastery applies. Deals that reshape economies are rarely signed in front of cameras. They happen over years of subtle influence. Trade agreements framed as partnerships, investments disguised as cooperation, technological sharing that builds dependence. By the time other nations realize the scale of alignment, the web is already spun. The silence wasn't secrecy for its own sake. It was strategy. Because once the structure is complete, it no longer matters who knows. It's too integrated to undo. Strategic silence also works within society itself. While people debate politics and ideology, the foundation of innovation continues to expand quietly. Universities partner with industries. Private companies receive federal contracts that seem ordinary but hold long-term potential. The funding of space programs, biotechnology, and clean energy may look inconsistent on the surface, but each piece is part of a long, silent pattern, preparing for global dominance not by declaring superiority, but by becoming indispensable. That's what silence does. It transforms invisibility into inevitability. No one can stop what they cannot see forming. America's quiet progression through innovation is like a glacier, slow, massive, and unstoppable. It doesn't need to announce its direction. It simply keeps moving, reshaping everything in its path over time. And when the world finally notices, it's already too late to resist. But there's another layer to this. Silence is not only a political tool, it's psychological warfare. The perception of inactivity makes opponents relax. It disarms suspicion. When others think you're idle or distracted, they lower their guard. They underestimate. And in global power, being underestimated is the most useful advantage there is. Because no one prepares to fight a ghost. By the time they realize what's happening, the silent strategist has already secured the high ground. Look at how America handles innovation cycles. While other nations rush to showcase prototypes, to prove they're ahead, the United States tends to stay quiet until the project is fully functional. When the unveiling happens, it's not a promise. It's a reality. That gap between perception and execution is where power resides. The world sees confidence as noise, but true confidence needs no announcement. It's the calm of knowing that what's coming cannot be stopped. Strategic silence is also about focus. The louder the world becomes, the more distractions arise. Every global crisis, every viral story, every controversy pulls attention away from what truly matters. In that chaos, the silent planner operates freely. No one questions the unseen worker in the background. No one asks what's happening while the spotlight is elsewhere. And that's when real transformation happens. Quietly, efficiently, deliberately. The American approach to global influence mirrors this principle. It invests in systems that last. Financial frameworks, digital infrastructures, cultural exports, while avoiding loud declarations of empire. This subtlety is what makes its influence hard to detect and even harder to resist. You don't need to conquer nations when your technology powers their communication. Your currency backs their trade. Your entertainment shapes their culture, and your companies define their economies. That kind of control doesn't require armies. It requires silence. A silence that infiltrates instead of invades. Consider how soft power works in this context. Movies, music, social media platforms, and fashion trends, all quietly embedding influence in global culture. No speeches, no threats. Just quiet, consistent exposure. That's strategic silence too. Winning hearts and habits without a fight. By the time people realize how deeply they're connected, it feels natural. And what feels natural doesn't need to be questioned. The same concept applies in the digital age. While most people focus on visible power, military strength, political alliances, true dominance now lies in control of information. Whoever owns the data owns the future. And data doesn't make noise. It flows silently. It is collected quietly, analyzed invisibly, stored securely, and used strategically. The public debates about privacy and technology are the surface story. The deeper one is the slow, methodical creation of a digital empire where silence is both shield and sword. Strategic silence thrives on time. It understands that every great change is resisted at first. So rather than forcing transformation, it lets time do the work. It allows small shifts to accumulate until they become irreversible. A new standard here, a small regulation there, a gradual adaptation that people accept because it feels like progress. By the time the pattern is recognized, it's no longer a choice. It's the new reality. In economics, the same principle plays out. Monetary policy, investment flows, and trade negotiations rarely make headlines, yet they define the future far more than speeches or elections. The silent recalibration of global markets, the shift of production chains, the strategic control of rare resources, all executed through quiet influence. Every decision looks isolated, but together they form a map. A silent architecture of control. America's role in this structure is not always visible, but it's deeply woven. Strategic silence is also a test of discipline. It requires restraint, not to respond to every provocation, not to reveal every success, not to chase validation. That restraint is rare in a world driven by attention. But those who master it master control. When a nation acts quietly, it signals that it doesn't need external approval. It acts because it can, not because it must prove it. That's the ultimate form of confidence. Even in innovation, this mindset is clear. Many breakthroughs appear to come out of nowhere, but they are years of silent preparation. America's greatest technologies often begin as quiet government projects, unnoticed startups, or research initiatives dismissed as irrelevant. The moon landing, the internet, GPS AI, All began quietly, almost invisibly. By the time the world realized their potential, they had already reshaped civilization. That is what strategic silence achieves. It gives birth to revolutions that seem sudden, but are, in truth, decades in the making. There's a lesson here beyond geopolitics. Silence itself is power when it is purposeful. Those who move quietly are not weak. They are precise. They understand that attention can be a trap, that applause can become a cage. The quiet strategist knows that the real work happens away from the crowd, where ideas can evolve without interference. In the end, noise is temporary, but impact is permanent. The beauty of strategic silence is that it turns invisibility into inevitability. The quiet builder doesn't need to argue, because the results will one day speak louder than any defense could. That's how empires sustain themselves. Not through constant noise, but through consistent results. Every quiet decision builds momentum. Every unannounced move adds leverage. The world sees chaos, but the silent planner sees a pattern. When you step back, you begin to notice how this philosophy shapes everything. It's in the calm tone of official statements, the slow rollouts of new policies, the steady rhythm of innovation that never seems rushed yet never stops. It's in the confidence of knowing that time itself is on your side, and perhaps that's the most silent force of all, time. America has learned to work with it, not against it. While others panic and react, it adjusts and waits. Because in the long game of power, patience beats panic every time. Strategic silence doesn't mean secrecy for secrecy's sake. It means moving with intention. It's the art of doing more while appearing to do less. It's letting others exhaust themselves with noise, while you quietly position yourself for victory. That principle applies in every field, from politics to business to innovation. Those who master silence master surprise, and surprise is the most effective weapon of all. And when the silence finally breaks, it's never random. It's perfectly timed. That's when the quiet strategy reveals its brilliance. Not as a sudden move, but as the culmination of countless unseen ones. Every silent investment, every quiet adjustment, every patient decision converges at that moment. The world reacts in shock, calling it a breakthrough, a revolution, an overnight success. But those who understand silence know it was never overnight. It was always there, unfolding beneath the noise. In the end, America's true mastery lies not in its volume, but in its silence. Because silence, when wielded with purpose, it doesn't hide weakness. It hides preparation. It doesn't delay action. It ensures precision. And it doesn't avoid attention. It outgrows the need for it. Strategic silence is the art of shaping the future without warning, influencing without claiming credit, and achieving without explanation. The lesson is simple yet profound. In a world that rewards the loudest voice, the quietest moves often define history. The world rarely notices silence until it becomes too powerful to ignore. That is the paradox of strategic silence. It is invisible until it wins. Hidden preparation is the art of building what others cannot yet see, of preparing for storms before the first cloud appears, of constructing strength quietly, so that when the world begins to tremble, you are already unshakable. It is the discipline of foresight, the quiet patience of vision, the relentless commitment to readiness when everyone else is distracted. America's greatest advantage has never been only its resources or technology. It has been its ability to prepare long before anyone realizes there's something to prepare for. While nations argue over the present. Those who plan the future already hold its keys. Hidden preparation begins not in the spotlight, but in silence. It's in the laboratories, where scientists work on technologies that won't be understood for 20 years. It's in boardrooms, where long-term strategies are written in vague language, so subtle that even insiders don't fully grasp their magnitude. It's in quiet policies disguised as routine updates, setting the stage for something much larger down the road. That's how preparation hides itself, not by being invisible, but by being ordinary. Because the greatest secrets are the ones buried inside normalcy. To prepare in silence is to understand that the world moves in cycles. Crises come and go. Economies rise and fall. Alliances shift and fade. But those who anticipate change before it becomes visible can shape it instead of surviving it. The hidden architect of progress doesn't wait for opportunity. He builds the path toward it. America's silent preparation over decades shows how deeply this philosophy runs. From space exploration to cybersecurity, from economic restructuring to energy transition, the groundwork was laid long before the world understood its purpose. By the time others began planning, the foundations were already solid. Hidden preparation is a paradox. It feels like nothing is happening, yet everything is being built. It's the work that doesn't seek applause, the progress that doesn't need validation. It's the belief that real change doesn't arrive in explosions. It arrives in layers. Every quiet decision adds a brick. Every unseen effort strengthens the base, and every year of patience builds momentum that cannot be undone. America has used this silent method of preparation for generations. When it built the interstate highway system, it wasn't just about transportation. It was the skeleton of economic control, the infrastructure that would enable mobility, defense, and commerce for decades. When it invested in computing during the 1950s, no one imagined that those machines would become the heartbeat of the modern world. When it sent satellites into orbit, they weren't just for communication. They were for observation, data, dominance. Every step looked isolated, but each was part of a larger, hidden plan, a future quietly assembling itself. That's the power of foresight, seeing beyond the moment. The loud often chase what's urgent, the prepared chase what's inevitable. Hidden preparation thrives on that difference. It avoids the spotlight not because it fears exposure, but because attention disrupts evolution. Growth needs silence. Progress needs privacy. The most transformative ideas are fragile at birth. They must be protected from criticism, skepticism, and misunderstanding until they're strong enough to stand on their own. That's why preparation stays hidden. It's the incubation period of greatness. If you look at history's major turning points, they all share one thing in common. Someone, somewhere, was preparing in silence while everyone else was watching something else. Before the internet became public, military networks were already quietly linking systems together. Before renewable energy became a trend, research programs were already testing prototypes in the background. Before AI became a buzzword, algorithms were being refined in obscure corners of universities. What looked like sudden breakthroughs were years of invisible preparation finally emerging into the light. Hidden preparation also means learning to think in layers. It's not enough to react to what's visible. You must plan for what's beneath and beyond it. Every new invention creates a new dependency. Every new policy shapes a future consequence. Those who prepare understand that by the time something becomes obvious, it's already too late to start. The future rewards those who plan early, not those who respond fast. This principle applies to power itself. True power isn't built overnight. It's accumulated quietly, like gravity. America didn't dominate the world by surprise. It prepared for it. It built financial systems that tied global trade to its currency, created institutions that required its participation, and advanced technologies that became universal standards. Each of these was an act of hidden preparation, quiet, gradual, and deliberate. By the time other nations realized the extent of dependency, it was irreversible. That's the brilliance of hidden groundwork. It makes alternatives nearly impossible. In the 21st century, hidden preparation has evolved into something even more intricate. It's no longer about physical resources. It's about information, automation, and adaptability. Preparation now means building systems that can pivot instantly, infrastructures that can absorb shocks, and intelligence networks that can predict crises before they occur. While the world reacts to visible problems, the hidden architect studies patterns, data, and probabilities. This new preparation is digital, predictive, and invisible. The power now belongs to those who prepare algorithms, not armies. And yet, this quiet readiness goes beyond governments. It's cultural. A society that values preparation teaches its people to think ahead, to build skills that will matter not today, but tomorrow. America's culture of innovation was not born out of chaos. It was designed. Education systems that encourage experimentation, funding for research that may fail 100 times before succeeding, entrepreneurial ecosystems that reward resilience. These are forms of hidden preparation. They cultivate a mindset of endurance. When crises strike, that mindset becomes the invisible shield that keeps progress alive. What makes hidden preparation so powerful is that it cannot be measured in the moment. There's no graph for resilience, no headline for anticipation, no applause for readiness. Yet, when the unpredictable happens, the difference between the prepared and the unprepared becomes unmistakable. One bends and adapts, the other breaks. The world often calls it luck, but it's never luck. It's foresight. It's patience. It's quiet mastery. The silent planner knows that preparation isn't just about systems. It's about psychology. You prepare not just with tools, but with mindset. You condition people to adapt, to expect change, to move forward without fear. That's why America invests heavily in research, communication, and culture. It's not just creating technology, it's creating a collective consciousness that can evolve with it. When preparation becomes part of identity, it no longer needs to be seen. It becomes instinctive. Hidden preparation also thrives in failure. Every setback becomes a lesson, every loss a rehearsal for resilience. When things go wrong, the prepared don't panic. They pivot. That ability to turn uncertainty into opportunity is what separates silent strength from visible weakness. The world sees the outcome, but not the groundwork. The nights of recalibration, the silent corrections, the unseen endurance. One of the reasons hidden preparation succeeds is because it works at a pace that seems unremarkable. The world is impatient. It wants visible progress now. But quiet builders understand that speed without structure leads to collapse. They move steadily, anchoring each layer before adding the next. It's not slow, it's strategic. Because when the storm comes, those who built fast will fall first, and those who built quietly will stand longest. This principle echoes through every realm: technology, politics, economics, and even human ambition. The loud may dominate headlines, but the prepared dominate outcomes. Hidden preparation is the difference between temporary victory and lasting dominance. It's not about reacting to history. It's about writing it in advance. What makes it so difficult to recognize is that it wears the mask of normalcy. A budget adjustment here, a policy revision there, a research grant quietly approved. Each small decision feels routine. But collectively, they form an architecture so vast that no one can see it until it's complete. That's how America often works. Incremental evolution mistaken for coincidence, until suddenly the pattern emerges, and it's too large to ignore. Hidden preparation requires vision beyond ego. It asks leaders to build for futures they may never see, to plant seeds that will bloom in another generation. That kind of thinking demands humility and patience, qualities rare in a world obsessed with immediate validation. But those who possess them reshape history without shouting. Because while applause fades, legacy endures. The truth is, preparation is invisible only to the impatient. Those who look closely can always find the signs. Infrastructure quietly expanding, education gradually reforming, investments diversifying, technologies being tested in silence. The future is never truly hidden. It's simply unfolding beneath the noise of the present. Hidden preparation also thrives on adaptability. Plans are not rigid. They evolve. True preparation isn't about predicting the exact future, but being ready for any version of it. It's about having systems flexible enough to survive uncertainty. America's hidden strength lies in this adaptability, its ability to reinvent itself while the world still thinks it understands it. That quiet evolution is its real weapon. While others define it by what it was, it's already becoming something new. In every era, those who underestimated silent preparation paid the price. The Soviet Union misread America's slow but steady economic structuring. Rivals dismissed early technological investments that later became industry standards. Competitors saw openness as vulnerability, not realizing it was controlled permeability, designed to absorb, adapt, and outlast. The world often mistakes stillness for stagnation. But in reality, stillness can be strategy. The seed appears dormant until the season changes. Then it grows faster than anyone imagined. To prepare in silence is to understand that the world rewards readiness more than reaction. It's not about predicting what will happen. It's about ensuring that whatever happens, you're already positioned to handle it. That's the essence of hidden preparation. Making tomorrow's uncertainty irrelevant by mastering today's discipline. The genius of such preparation lies in its invisibility. When your strength is unseen, your opponents can't plan against it. When your systems are quietly built, no one knows where to attack. And when your moves are hidden in plain sight, even exposure looks harmless. That's the highest level of control. Not through deception, but through design. The real test of any civilization, any organization, or any individual isn't how loud they are in success, but how ready they are in silence. Hidden preparation is not glamorous. It doesn't make headlines. It demands patience, consistency, and an almost prophetic awareness of timing. But when it finally unfolds, it looks inevitable. That inevitability is what defines power, the quiet confidence of knowing you were ready all along. Preparation, after all, is destiny written in advance. Those who prepare shape the map, those who don't are trapped inside it. America's hidden groundwork. Its research, its global structures, its cultural adaptability proves that foresight is stronger than force. Because when you're truly prepared, you don't need to dominate, you simply endure. And endurance, over time, becomes control,